You ever find yourself in a really loud, crowded room and just feel like you're on a totally different wavelength from everyone else? Yeah? Well, you're definitely not alone. And today, we're going to get into exactly why that feeling is so common. Right. People who feel this way, we often call them introverts. It's a label a lot of us have heard, and maybe you even use it to describe yourself. It kind of points to that love for the quieter corners of the world.
But is that all it is? Is being an introvert just about being shy or quiet? Is it just one single thing? Well, let me tell you, the real answer is way more interesting than you'd think. So, here's what we're going to do. First, we'll break down that old stereotype. Then, we'll dive into the 4 shades of introversion. And finally, we'll talk about finding your own strength within them.
All right, let's jump right in. We're going to start by kind of tearing down that old one-size-fits-all idea of an introvert, because it's not just one thing, it's this whole universe of different experiences, all packed into a single word. And here's the big twist, the thing you really need to get. Calling all introverts the same is kind of like saying all music is just noise. No way. The reality is so much richer, you know? There are different genres, different beats, totally different vibes. Okay, and that brings us right to the heart of it all, these 4 shades of introversion. We're going to break down each one step by step. That's right, 4. 4 really distinct types, and each one has its own unique way of looking at the world. So, you ready to meet the first one? Okay, first up, the social introvert. Now, this is probably the one most people picture when they hear the word introvert, but honestly, it's so misunderstood. A social introvert doesn't dislike people, not at all. And see, this is where we separate shyness from what's really a social preference. A social introvert can be super confident. They just find big crowds totally draining. For them, it's all about quality over quantity, deep connections, not just a long list of acquaintances. This just nails it, doesn't it? It's not about avoiding people. It's about finding the right setting for a real connection. The noise and chaos of a huge crowd, that just sucks the life out of you. But the intimacy of that small group, that actually recharges your batteries. So let's get this straight once and for all. It's not antisocial, it's selectively social. And that is a huge, powerful difference. Okay, let's keep it moving. On to our next type. All right, type 2 is the thinking introvert. And look, if the social introvert's world is all about small, cozy groups, the thinking introvert's world is, well, it's almost entirely inside their own head. We're talking about the daydreamer, the deep thinker, the constant analyst. Sound familiar at all? Like you're in a conversation, but your brain is simultaneously chasing down like a dozen other rabbit holes? You're not trying to be rude, it's just that your mind is a really, really busy and fascinating place to hang out. Oh, I love this example. It just perfectly captures that incredible mental jump. For a thinking introvert, a simple comment is never just a simple comment. It's a launching pad into this whole world of deep, imaginative thought. Okay, now for our third type. And this one's a bit different, the anxious introvert. They don't just prefer being alone. They often feel a real sense of nervousness in social situations. For them, introversion and social anxiety are kind of tangled up together. Yeah, this is the person who might skip the party altogether because the mental gymnastics beforehand and the endless replay afterward, it's just completely overwhelming. It's this nonstop loop of what ifs and, oh, I should have said. And this is just such a perfect modern example, right, for the anxious introvert. That silence after a text isn't just empty space. Oh no, it's immediately filled with every worst-case scenario you can imagine, even when, deep down, they know the other person was probably just, busy. But this is so important to understand. This is not a weakness. It's not some kind of character flaw. It's actually a mind that's in high alert mode. Anxious introverts are often incredibly thoughtful and empathetic because their brains are wired to be super sensitive to social cues and what might happen next. And that brings us to our 4th and final type, the restrained introvert. Now, this person isn't necessarily shy or anxious. They just operate on a different schedule. They're deliberate. They're calm. They take their time. Yeah, the restrained introvert isn't the type to just dive headfirst into a situation. Nope, they observe, they process, and then they act. So they might seem quiet when you first meet them, but that's just because they're taking it all in before they add their 2 cents. They really do think before they speak.
I mean, what a perfect metaphor, right? It just captures their whole vibe so well. They've got this wonderfully warm, engaging personality, but it needs a little time and the right temperature to really come to the surface. Their strength is in their steadiness, their quiet observation.
So now that we've explored all 4 of these different shades, it all comes down to the big question, right? Which one sounds like you? Let's pull them all together for a final look. Okay, here we go, side by side. You've got the social introvert who likes people but in smaller doses, the thinking introvert whose mind is basically their favorite place to be, the anxious introvert who gets nervous in social settings, and the restrained introvert who just warms up to people slowly. And hey, it's totally possible, in fact, it's really common, to see yourself in more than one of these. Most of us are a mix. Because at the end of the day, this isn't about cramming yourself into a little box. It's about recognizing where your strengths are. Is it in your deep thinking, your ability to form really meaningful connections, your careful observation, or your empathy? It's about understanding what makes you you. So I'll leave you with this. Which shade, or which combination of shades, sounds the most like you?